Yes guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another video. My name is Dilraj Gill and today I'll be telling you about 3 bicep exercises that you should be doing in order to incorporate into your program and to get as much bicep gains as possible. Now, I'll start off by saying that the bicep is a very simple plane of movement. All it requires is the flexion of the elbow joint, which means that any exercise we do is essentially at its very core going to be a curl movement. Of course we can add in variation, which we'll see later in this video, but in comparison to, say, a chest where you have to do flies, pressing in different angles, the bicep's simple because it's just an isolated curl movement. Now, because of the fact that it's isolated, I really recommend going with a high volume, sort of moderate weight approach to this sort of training. Not with the heavy weights, not with the low reps. Go with high volume, moderate weight, focusing on time under tension and proper form. That means on any working day, do 3 to 4 exercises of 3 to 4 sets of 10 to 15 reps, which equates to around 12 to 16 working sets per day of exercise, and that will really give you sufficient volume, but also sufficient time under tension as well, which is what, time under tension is what really creates the muscle gains, because you can do exercises really fast and not tear the muscle down, and it's that tearing of the muscle fibers down for them to then be rebuilt into a stronger hypertrophic manner, which creates increased size. We'll get into the first exercise, and that is going to be the standing bicep curl. Now these are great because you can do them with dumbbells, you can do them with barbell, you can do it with cables, you can do it with the easy curl bar, whatever you want. So keeping your feet hip width apart and keeping your core contracted, curl the barbell up towards the chest and then slowly lower it until it's just back to before normal. What I mean by that is don't lock out all the way, because by locking out all the way you'll take some of the pressure off the biceps. By going just before the lockout you'll maintain tension on the biceps, and again coming back to the point of time under tension, you'll keep as much time under tension on the muscle and hence create more gains. Now I'll go through a few mistakes with this because I see a lot of people, even myself at times, I've been a culprit of this, doing this movement wrong. And the first thing is going too fast, rushing the movement. What you want to do is aim for 1 second contraction and 2 second negatives, if possible, to ensure a smooth form is kept at all times and there's no rapid movements. Because as I've said earlier, doing it rapidly, doing it really quick doesn't get you anywhere. It doesn't create any, well, it creates a very little bit of the hypertrophic requirements in order to create increased gains. So do it slow, do it contracted, moderate weight, leave the ego at the door. The slower you do a movement, the better it's going to be for you, okay? That's the way, that's paradoxical. People think I've got to do it faster to create more movement, but no, do it slower and you'll create more gains. The second mistake is going to be improper elbow position. Now, the elbow position should not change during the curl at all. They should remain close to your side at all parts of the movement, and only the lower arm should move. If you notice your elbows are moving away from you or away from the body, it's a sign that you're lifting too much, and as a result you should lower the weight to a lower amount. And then the final mistake is to not use momentum. This comes back to the first point, but you should be able to keep your body fixed in a position where only the forearms are moving to work the bicep. If I'm swinging back and forward, if I'm using my hips, I'm using my body, I'm using my shoulders to do it, then that's taking the effect of the exercise away from the muscle, and I'm not actually focusing what I'm trying to do. I'm essentially wasting my time. You keep momentum strict, keep the core tight, keep the posture up, keep the legs stable and balanced, and you only focus on moving the arms, okay? It comes with practice, of course it does, but it's really important you start off with lightweight, build the motor pattern early, build it first, and then you can go on to going with heavyweight as time progresses. Like, there's no rush at all. Like, you've got your whole lifetime to get better at this. The second exercise is going to be the preacher curl. Now, as I said at the start of this video, a lot of bicep exercises are essentially just curls, okay? Now, it's really important that you mix up variation into your workouts, whether it be type of exercise, reps, sets, time and attention, whatever it may be. Like, this is great for hitting the biceps from a different angle. So sit on the preacher curl bench and adjust the height so your armpits are just touching the top of the slope section. Hold the weight with an underhand grip or palms facing up in a supinated grip, with your arms extended fully out and your upper arms resting on the bench. What I want you to do is try and keep your arms on the bench at all times and curl up with the forearms until they're vertical. Pause slightly at the top of the movement and slowly lower the weight down until the forearms are fully extended again. Now, because the preacher curl puts your biceps in a sort of a unusual position, it's really important that you, with this especially, with all exercises, but this especially, you focus on proper form and doing it slow, controlled manner, okay? Because if you go too fast, if you start jolting, you can put your shoulder at risk of injury. You could really snap your shit up, basically, okay? You don't want to do that. Now also, because of the fact that you're in an unusual position, don't like expect to lift a lot of weight. You should be able to lift less weight than you could do with the standing barbell curl. So lower the weight, focus on, you know, time and attention, and focusing on the negative, especially because you're working against gravity. The gravity in a barbell curl down is fully gravity because you're going straight down, but on a sloped one you get a bit of a support, so you can really go a bit slower on the negative, and that's why I love it a lot. So also, another point to note is that you can use different equipment for this. You can use an easy curl bar, you can use a dumbbell. What I would say though is avoid using the straight barbells in this one, because it will put your wrist in a really awkward tight lock position, and you know, even if you use wrist straps like myself, you want to be able to keep your wrist injury free, and essentially like you don't want these exercises to cause you discomfort or pain. So do it with the easy curl bar. Also, the easy curl bar is great because you can change which part of the bicep you want to target with the grip, with the how wide you put your hands. So right now, I'm trying to focus on the peak of the bicep, okay? I want to get bigger peaks. Now that's going to be the long head of the bicep. If you want to hit the long head of the bicep, the peak, put your hands narrower together. So with the easy curl bar, you have a narrow grip you can use. And if you want to target the short head of the bicep, which is more of the thickness and the width of the bicep, then you want to put your hands a bit further apart. And the easy is great because you have both grips there, and you can change up, maybe do a set on the narrow, then change up and do a drop set with the outer one to hit both heads of the bicep. So the third and final exercise, which I recommend you guys check out, is going to be the incline dumbbell curl on a bench. Now I love this exercise for a number of reasons, but mainly because it focuses on the long head of the bicep. Now as I said to you before, I'm trying to work on the peak. So I'm going to try and work on exercises which focus on the long head of the bicep, and this is a perfect example of that. So the way to do this exercise is, what you want to do is get a bench, sit on the bench, or set it to about 45 degrees, and have a dumbbell in each hand. Now keeping your elbows close to the torso and your upper arm stationary, curl the weights up by contracting the bicep, ensuring your elbows are as fixed as possible and only your forearms are moving. Now continue to bring the dumbbells up to the top of the movement where your biceps are fully contracted. Now also know that I try and keep my head back during this movement, and that's because the head is the heaviest part of the body. In order to keep my elbows back, I keep my head back, because if I let my head move forward, or if I try and look at myself in the mirror too much, or if I bring it forward too much, then it's got a tendency that my body will follow. As a result, my elbows would move out of the fixed position and they'll maybe move a bit forward, and as a result I won't get as good as a contraction. I want to keep my elbows fully back, fully contracted down, so that when I do initiate the movement, they're starting from a completely vertical position. You'll also notice that I'm adding in a twist to the movement here, okay? Now the twist is fantastic because it not only increases the range of motion that the bicep goes through, in fact the twist puts the bicep through the full range of motion, but also rotating the forearm shortens the bicep, which activates additional muscle fibers, and as a result I'll be able to achieve maximum gains, more bang for my buck per exercise. I'm recruiting more muscle fibers, which means more muscle fibers will get torn down, and as a result more muscle fibers will be remade back stronger and fitter and better. Also to note, with this exercise in particular, it takes advantage of something called the stretch reflex. Now a stretch reflex is essentially your body's automatic response to protecting the muscle, and it originates from things called the muscle spindles, which are buried deep within each of the muscle fibers. All of your muscles around your body have got things called muscle spindles, and what happens is when your muscle is in a stretched, fully contracted position like this one, because you're essentially your torso is back and your arms are fully stretched out to begin with, this stretch reflex increases the neural activity inside the bicep or inside the muscle, any muscle, and as a result you can get into progressive overload. And with gym, everything's about progressive overload in order to build hypertrophy, because if your muscles aren't overloading, then there's no reason for them to grow. So as you increase the overload, as you increase intensity, as you can utilize a stretch reflex in your training in order to get more contraction, to lift more for longer, you'll be able to get into that idea of progressive overload and really take your body to the next level. So that was it, guys. Short, sharp video. 3 exercises you should be doing in order to increase your bicep gains. Now this has worked for me over the years, and as you'll see with this channel, like it will continue to work. I'll continue to make gains because this stuff works, it's backed by science, and but by experience as well. So definitely check it out. Let me know how you found this video, guys, in the comments. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content. More videos coming your way soon. Dilraj out.